Welcome to another edition of Lying on the Beach on Camera. That's LOBOC. I'm Steve Greenberg with
Lois Whitman-Hess.
She's the Yenta from Calabeta, or whatever the heck she just said. And we also have our engineer, David Nieves.
David
right,
Nieves.
David?
Yes, that is correct.
I'm going to learn it.
Nieves.
If you keep watching this over time, I'll actually learn it. Anyway, before we move on and talk about what our topic today is all about, I want to mention that you couldn't do Lying on the Beach without the handle stick. The handle stick. And there's Lois demonstrating the handle stick. You can stick it onto the phone directly or onto your favorite phone case, and it gives you a handle that you can then use when you use your phone. Plus, you can twist it around. It also does work on your neck, which makes it very valuable for the over 50 crowd. But when you turn it around, you can make a kickstand. But we'll talk more about that later in the podcast. But remember, it's all about Handle Stick, and we have to thank Handle very much. So we want to talk today about the fact that we see all these companies pitching products and how poorly most of them do it. So that's what Lois and I are going to discuss. And of course, David will chime in as he feels necessary. Lois, let's ask you right of that. What do you think the biggest mistake companies make when they're pitching products?
Okay, most of the time, most inventors or CEOs are so involved with their company that they really don't know the elevator pitch to what their product is all about. And it takes them way too long to explain it. And a lot of them don't explain it at all. They just go off on a tangent, and they don't give anyone that's hearing them the appetite to buy whatever they're selling. And that's the main problem. I have been dealing with this challenge now since I started HWHPR, and people just don't understand 2 sentences to explain what a product is. A lot of the time, I have to step in, and if we're meeting with a journalist or a retailer, I have to give them the essentials of why they should be interested in this product. Because go ahead.
Yeah, I said I have the same thing. So let's say I'm doing a satellite media tour even. So I have a bunch of products that have been paid to be pitched to TV stations around the country, and the PR person or the company person will be telling me different features of the product, and they leave out the most important feature, the one, this is the lowest price one in the market. Well, that wasn't mentioned. Like, how does it compare to the other prices? Or, everybody knows that brand X is the one that everybody knows about. Well, why is this better than brand X? Oh, it does that too. They don't think the way consumers think. And I think that's one thing I bring to the table when I'm having the conversation with a product, a company that is representing a product. It's like, okay, why do I care? Why do I care about this? What makes this something I care about? And why would I want it? And if they can't explain that to me, then I have to ask them a bunch of questions. And also, instead of telling me it over this much time, tell me it over this much time. And I kind of feel that's always been my gift. Even like the Today Show, I only get a couple of seconds with each product. So I have to be able to say why that's special, what it does, and move on to the next one in a very short period of time. And I think that's the challenge. And I think so many inventors, CEOs, and even some PR people really don't get it.
So let's tell everybody what we're going to do because of that.
Well, I think what we've seen so many, because of the pandemic, the whole venue of trade shows and stuff has changed. So we're thinking about putting together a video that actually just puts together a bunch of products, explains them in a very short way, and then give that to journalists. Then journalists can look through it, in not wasting a lot of their time. And by their looking through it, they can decide, okay, I'm interested in product 1, product 7, product 11. Then we connect them with those companies, and hopefully they can give some great promotion exposure to those products. So it's really about saving the journalist time, giving them in a nutshell why this product is special. They watch it at their own time whenever they feel it's appropriate. And hopefully journalists will see the value in this, and companies and products will also see the value in it. So we're going to try this out and see if people are interested in this kind of new way of pitching products.
So we developed this idea because Steve and I have watched a lot of online programs that pitch products. The companies that own these online programs go out and get 4 to 5 or 10 products, and they let the CEOs or the main executives pitch it, and they give them about 5 to 10 minutes each. And they're deadly. The pitching is deadly. The journalists are falling asleep. They're going around, the company executives are going around in circles. They're not really giving the essence of the success of that product. And they mean well, and they want to do it, but they're so involved that they can't do it. And because Steve and I only usually have a few minutes to get a journalist's attention or a consumer's attention, we have perfected this. Of course, it's always open to debate about who does it best and if the pitch is really a success. But there's no doubt that you and I, Steve, could do it better than most people in the world. We've been doing it. Our success in making a living has depended on it. We just don't get a check and disappear. We have to show them the results of our program. So that's why we decided to do it. And we're going out now to scout for products that are interested in working with us, because we really want to, and to retailers. Retailers will be getting our mailings as well. And we have access to the 100 best retailers in the United States, and then we're going to be branching internationally to actually show them why they should be involved with that product.
And the pandemic has kind of shown a spotlight on the need for this, because when we had a trade show, you could pop in. If you didn't like a booth, you could move to another booth. If they were busy, you could work the floor and find the things that interest you. But when you watch a video that we have now, where it's a live thing, where it's some CEO pitching it, you're locked in there for 10 minutes listening to every machination about that product. And maybe you don't care anything about that product. You really want to hear about the next product. So this is going to be like kind of a sampler. You're going to get a little bit on each product, and then you can decide if you're interested in one product or another product, and you can then pursue it to get more information on those products. I think it actually, for most journalists and those of us who work in television and in print, this is kind of a great way to get the information without wasting our time, because to sit through an hour and a half presentation is just, it's mind numbing. And I don't think most other professional journalists and writers really want to go through that. So this might be a great solution. And Lois and I are going to try it out and see if the world of retail, journalism, products all seem to embrace it. Of course, we'll let you know how that goes.
But we are not giving up our day job in case everybody else has another agenda.
Right. No, we're still keeping our day job and still staying at home in our pandemics.
It always amazed me when I took on a new client, a client with total innovation, that when I brought a journalist to either speak to them on the telephone or I brought them in person, I would sit there and cringe. And I probably was a little intolerant, and I don't think I'm like the end-all answer to everything, but I would cringe that it would take the company executive so long to explain to the journalists who I worked so hard to impress, to come to this client, and they'd fall asleep waiting for, the big hurrah. And the big hurrah was there, but but everyone's mind wanders, just like we do on this thing. We, procrastinate, we pontificate. It's too much. You've got to get the 3 sentences down. And by the way, even when they try and spend time on it, it takes a long time to practice to understand what that journalist or what that retailer wants to hear in order to make them a hero at their company. Everybody forgets it. They tell them what they want them to know, not what they need to know.
And in that same scenario you just described, I'm the guy listening to that guy who's grabbed my elbow and pulled me over and is telling me something. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, okay, so what's the big deal? There are already 10 products that do that. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? And, he finally does get to it, but it's torture. And then I'm like, oh, I get it. That's great. but it's too long a process. If you just give me that first, it's like in news, they say, don't bury the lead. Take the lead and put it right up front, because that's where it has to be, that's what's going to hook you in. And they don't get that. So I think that's something that I bring to the table and that Lois brings to the table, having done this for so many years, that we know what that hook is and we don't bury the lead. We put it up front. And I think that's going to make a big difference. And I think other journalists are going to embrace this. And I think retailers and whatnot will also see the advantage to, short, sweet, just give them the information and move on to the next one.
So we also, what the great news about this new adventure that we're going to do is that we don't wait for the journalists, as you mentioned already, to come to us and the retailers, because everyone is very busy and you can't draw the proper crowd that makes this all worthwhile. So because of my experience of reaching out to the journalists and sometimes getting hit over the head by reaching out a little bit too much, we're going to go out to everybody and say, here is a product that you should look at. Here are 10 products or 5 products that you should look at. And at their own convenience, they'll look at it. And little by little, without a doubt, because we're showing innovation only, without a doubt, there'll be something either they use editorially or they buy for their store because they think it's a great product, or they're going to personally want it, which I think is great also.
And we're talking about a 5, 6, 7 minute presentation, if that, depending on how many products are. Really short and sweet. So it's not going to take an hour of a journalist's time or an hour of anyone's time to get through all those products. Just a couple of minutes, you'll see it. If it's something you want to go for, you can pursue it some more. We'll always have the information for pursuing more information on any of the products, but just to give the headlines, is this something you might be interested in? I think it's a great resource for journalists. So I'm excited we're doing this. And
another problem that people have, whether they're writing or buying or presenting, is that people don't understand overall strategy. They start to talk about the implementation of a particular feature, and they go on about it, and then they lose the person they're speaking to because it just becomes so boring. They have to know that this is a product that was invented because it accomplishes so many things that people want to have. So therefore, it has to be presented that way. And that comes under the guideline of strategy, not implementation. There have been so many times in my career that I never even operated the product, and I was able to explain it and get the interest of even retailers and journalists by just giving them what I knew was in their head, what they wanted to hear in terms of their strategy. So that becomes very, very important.
I totally agree. And if you're looking for the details in the product, you're going to have to go somewhere else. But we'll make sure you can get those. But it's really all about just the headline. So you get an idea, is this something I want to include in my next article or in my store or whatever? But I think that's the idea. Now we have to actually make it happen. So we're good. Anything
and David has to go for lunch, and we understand that strategy. Or he has another meeting. Oh my God, Alan Hirsch.
I'm not going without
mentioning
our sponsor.
We're talking about other people failing. We failed Alan Hirsch.
Well, we mentioned it at the top, so I'm going to mention it again. So this is the handle
not
stick.
Not enough for demanding Alan Hirsch. He demands perfection.
Well, he powers lying on the beach, so we have to always thank him. And we also want to point out that the handle stick, as Lois will demonstrate, you apply it to your phone case, your favorite phone case, or directly to your phone. It adds a handle to your phone, which makes it easy for holding it, but it can also be a kickstand for both vertical or horizontal use. And this comes in 40 plus different colors.
To hide your wrinkled neck.
Oh yeah, look, I could try that too even here. And it comes in 40 different styles and colors. Plus, they're starting a new thing where you can take an image or a logo and add it here. So you could have Lois's face right there on your handle stick if you so choose. Or you could have your favorite team or your business or whatnot, your school right there, right on the handle stick. So if the best part about the handle stick is, David, what's the best part about the handle stick?
That it's only $10.
That's right. Only $10. You can't beat that.
You cannot beat that
if you want more, you can't beat that. No, $10. Come on.
No,
so starting price, If you want more information, go to their website, which is www.handle, Handl, New York, handlenewyork.com. And you can learn all about the handle stick and that new thing I just told you about, which is very cool. Hopefully Lois will get our faces on it so we can hold it up and show you. That would be a nice prop. Lois, work on that.
I'll work on it.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, I think
that's a wrap.
we're set. So once again, I'm Steve Greenberg with
Lois Whitman-Hess.
the
And-
Yenta from Vendetta.
Calabenta. The Yenta from
Calabenta.
Calabenta. And
our
our
engineer,
sound engineer.
our sound
Visual.
and
Oh,
video.
is he visual? Is he
He's
visual?
everything. He's our
Okay.
engineer.
Okay, engineer.
David
Nieves.
Nieves.
Thank you very much.
Nieves.
I love it. Okay. And once again, we have all been hanging out here, lying on the beach on camera. Take care.
Bye.